Okay, since this is the first time that we have taken notes, I want to show you what I expect for you out of your notebook. This is really important because I am going to have you take pictures of your notes and turn them in at the end of each unit. So really important that you're doing the things that I ask. Okay, so the first thing is, normally when we are in school, I give you a piece of paper that we put in our notebook at the beginning of each unit, and it kind of serves as a tab. But we're not going to do that quite yet, but I want us to get in the habit of marking off our different sections. And so what I did is I just took a sticky note or any piece of paper. I just took, a sticky note like this, and I basically folded it in half, okay? And you can see how I put one side of the sticky note here and then the other half here, and I actually used a piece of tape to tape it down. And you see how I left a little tab right there, and I wrote the word expressions because that's the title of our unit. And so I want you to create some kind of tab, and you don't necessarily even have to fold it. If you just have a sticky note that you can stick right there, it's just this will stay on nice and well. And you can use a glue stick as well. So title it the title of our unit. Okay, so take a moment, pause the video, take care of your tab for the start of our unit. Okay, the second thing we're going to start, you've already started or should have started your notes for this unit, but I want to show you how I expect you to set up your notes. We use kind of a Cornell note system style, and so what I always have you do is I have you draw a line, and you can use highlighters, markers, whatever you like. Draw a line across the top, and then draw a line down the side. Now you can do it right on this red line if you want, but really the idea here is to leave a little more space that you can write questions or notes and help you study. You can write study questions right here. Okay, but every time I expect to see your note page divided like this. In this top left-hand corner, we're going to write the topic. So for today, our topic is add polynomials. Okay, so I would want you to write add polynomials. It's focusing in, maybe. Oops, not focusing. Let's try again. Okay, then at the top, normally I will have you, and I will have you do this from time to time as we get going, you would write the essential question right here. Okay, now for the first couple sets of notes, I've already got you started. I've already written your essential question at the top. However, I am going to stop doing this eventually, and so what I would expect you to do is write your essential question right here. How do you add polynomials? And so I'm just writing it so you can see whoops, I spelled it wrong. Polynomials. Okay. My first time back to you in a while. Okay, so that's kind of what it looks like when you go to start setting up your notes. Okay, and then if you print off your note template, or if you have the note template, you'll have it there to take notes. Or sometimes if you can't print, you're just going to copy the notes and you're going to have them all right here underneath. And sometimes we won't have a note template, we'll just copy everything. Okay, so hopefully if you need a second, pause the video and get that set up. You should have already gone through the Quizlet and defined all of these vocabulary words. Okay, these are really important. This is a lot of new vocabulary that you've probably never heard of. So let's make sure, whoops, I forgot to define like terms in here, that you've gone through and defined that. Okay? Okay, so now let's add to our notes. Let's do this bottom part together. Now, if you did your summer math, you did some of this, and so it really should look pretty easy and familiar. We're going to add polynomials. And it says find the sum because sum means to add, right? So what I want you to see here is we have a binomial, because it has two terms, plus another binomial. Okay, now you will see that, and I'm going to show you two ways, but I'm going to stick with a single way. Adding is pretty easy because this addition sign doesn't change any of the signs behind it. So really all we're doing here is combining like terms. And remember, excuse me, like terms have to have the same variable part or no variables, like they're both constants. Okay, so our like terms here, we have 8x squared plus 12x squared. Now remember, when we add, all that changes is the coefficient. That variable part, x squared, doesn't change. So 8 plus 12 is simply 20x squared. Okay, and then we also have 1 and 6, which are like terms. So that's easy. 1 plus 6 is 7. And so the sum is 20x squared plus 7. We can't put that together anymore because those are not like terms. Now that would be working the problem out horizontally. I also want you to see sometimes these problems can be set up vertically, where we have like terms lined up underneath one another. And that looks pretty easy, and like maybe that might be the better way, but when we start having more terms, or if there's things that aren't like terms, and not everything always lines up, so it gets a little more complicated. Okay, let's look at the next one. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Just you should be able to see it, but if you can't, there we go. Okay. Okay, so let's look for our like terms in number 2. We have 4a. Ooh, but there's nothing over here in this trinomial that goes with 4a. So 4a just stays 4a. Okay, we've got negative a cubed. I want to remind you here, if there isn't a coefficient, if there isn't a number there, that's an understood 1. So this is negative 1a cubed plus 2a cubed. So negative 1 plus 2 is 1, positive 1, or just simply a cubed. Okay, then we have negative 3. Okay, negative 3 plus 8. Those are both constants. Negative 3 plus 8 would be positive 5. Oh, but look, over here, negative 5a squared didn't have a like term. Okay, now this is a perfectly acceptable answer. However, what I want you to know is one of the vocabulary words we defined was standard form of polynomials. And standard form means that they're in order from the greatest to the least. And so we really need to think about putting these in order from greatest to least. And so all we have to do is look at the exponent on all the a's, starting with the variable, and then put them in descending order. So first it's going to be a cubed, and then negative 5a squared, so minus 5a squared. Make sure you put that sign with it. And then 4a, positive 4a, and then would be the constant. The constant's always going to be last. And so this would be how you would need to answer or input your polynomial. Okay. Let's look at number 3. Hopefully this is making sense. Seemed pretty easy. If you have questions or aren't sure about things, jot a note and you can ask me via remind or email. Here we go. So this one right here, we've got negative 5x cubed plus x cubed. Okay, remember this is an understood 1. So that's going to be negative 4x cubed. Okay, now I've got 1x squared plus 8x squared. So that would be 9x squared. And then this minus x has nothing to go with it. Okay, now let's check. Are we in descending order? Remember here, the understood exponent would be 1. You don't have to put a 1 there. You can, but you wouldn't see it normally with a 1 right there. I just want you to know that there is a 1 right there. Okay, last example. This one's getting a little bit trickier because it's got some double variables. Let's just start by combining like terms. So we've got 2x squared plus x squared. So that would be 3x squared. Then we have negative 5xy plus 7xy. So that is 2xy. And then we've got, let's see, negative 1y squared and negative 1y squared. So that's like saying negative 1 minus 1, or plus negative 1. So it would be negative 2y squared. Okay, now let's check for standard form. It gets a little bit trickier when you have two different variables. So what I want to tell you is not only do we go in descending order based on the exponent, we also go alphabetically. So for example, x comes before y. Just like if you were alphabetizing your name or your names, you first look at the first letter that comes first alphabetically. So first we look at the x's. So we've got x squared and then x to the first. So those are in the correct order. Now we look toward the y's, and since this is the only term with a y in it, just a y, then this goes last. Okay, we wouldn't put this one in front because we have to do everything that has an x and then go from there. Okay, so now what you need to do is you can take this, you can fold it in half and tape or glue it down into your notebook. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And then you need to follow the rest of your directions in Canvas. I believe for today you are doing a practice assignment in Desmos, so make sure you choose the correct link. What I also want you to know is that you need to be able to answer this essential question. You can do it right now, or you can do it once you finish your assignment. And when you do this, when you answer your essential question, I call it a summary. So you can put it right here if you want. You can put it down at the bottom of your page. You can put it wherever you want. You can write it right here on the back of your notes, whatever, just so that I can see it, and I will expect to see those when we turn in our notebook. And so when you answer your essential question, it must be at least 2 complete sentences. Okay, and so you need to answer that question with at least 2 complete sentences. You should be able to write a lot, talk about like terms, talk about standard form, talk about how you identify like terms, lots of things that you can say for that.